That's how leadership works. It starts with you. And I understand that we're all different men. We all have different goals, different talents. Some of us love leadership. Some of us don't love leadership. Some will step up and lead when it's absolutely needed, and others will avoid leadership at any cost. Avoid it like it's the plague. So what if we don't feel qualified to be the leader? What if we've screwed up in our past? What if we've sinned in our past? What if we're sinning now? We'll come right back to this. What if I just don't want that job and all the work that comes with being a leader? Well, for me, the greatest leader biblically who never wanted the job was Moses. If you remember, Moses had made a mess of things too. Moses was far away from Egypt, tending to the flocks of his father-in-law. And why was he far away? Because he had killed an Egyptian, right? He did not want to be back in Egypt. That was the last place he wanted to be. And we all know the story of Moses. Moses was walking along and he hears God's voice come out. God tells Moses exactly who he is, saying, I am the God of your father Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. God goes on to explain that he's heard the cries of his people, the Israelites. He's going to go and bring them out, bring them to a land flowing with milk and honey. In Exodus 3, chapter 3, verse 10, God tells Moses, so now go, I'm sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. And Moses didn't just pump the brakes. He came up with excuses 4 times why he was not the man for the job. And then finally said, no thanks, God. He said, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? And God says, don't worry, I'll be with you. That wasn't good enough. Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them that the God of your fathers has sent me to you. And they ask me, well, what's his name? Then what do I tell them? God says, well, just tell them I am. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has sent you. God even lays out details of what's going to happen, what land they're going to take, who they're going to take it from. And by the way, we're going to plunder the Egyptians on the way out of town. Moses comes up with another excuse. What if they don't believe me? What if they don't listen to me? The Lord did not appear to you. So God gives Moses 3 small miracles. The staff becoming a snake, his hand becoming leprous, and then being restored by going into his cloak, and the promise of turning water into blood. 4th time, Moses says, pardon your servant, Lord. I've never been eloquent, either in the past nor since you've spoken to your servant. I am slow of tongue and speech. And God reassures him, hey, I made you. I made your mouth, and I'll be with you. And finally, Moses thinks about it and says, pardon your servant, Lord. Please send someone else. For us today, someone else is sent in our place. So if you think you may not be able to lead or you don't feel qualified, so did Moses. But where would God's people have been without Moses? God told him what he was to do. He equipped him to carry it out. God isn't sending us to free a nation of slaves here, guys. He's just telling us to lead in our homes. This task pales in comparison to what Moses had to go and do. God has sent you other men in this church to be your Aaron, your helper. That's why we gather like this. Would God demand that you lead and not give you the tools or examples of how to do it? Did he with Moses? When has God ever told someone to go do something in his name and then not been with them during the journey? Never. So then, regardless of our internal comfort level with leadership, we must understand that the Bible has told us that we are to lead in our families. And the more we feel unqualified, we have to trust that God will bless us and help us, even to the point of providing miracles. So then, how do we lead? First things first, we need to live by way of example in everything that we do. And at the top of this list is praying with our families. Romans 12:12 says, be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer. Prayer is a lifestyle, and it simply has to be a regular part of each and every one of our days.